Hello viewers, today's topic for discussion is diaphragm. So what is diaphragm? It is a dome-shaped muscular aponeurotic partition between the thorax and abdomen, right? So I have drawn here the diaphragm. It forms the roof of abdomen actually. So it separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity, right? So the thoracic surface is convexed on the right and left side. This is the thoracic surface, right? Depressed in the mid thoracic surface is convex on the left and is depressed in the middle, right? And the convexities are known as the convexities right and left. These are known as the cupullae. I have written here cupullae, C-U-P-O-L-A-E, cupullae, right? Or dome of diaphragm, right and left dome or cupullae, right? The right cupullae is slightly higher than the left because of liver present on the right side. So the peripheral part of the diaphragm, it is actually muscular, right? And the central part is tendinous, right? Now origin. It arises from the inner surface of the thoracic outlets, and its origin is actually arranged in three groups. First is sternal origin, then we have costal origin, then we have vertebral or lumbar origin. So sternal origin is by the two fleshy slips from the back of the xiphoid process. Sternal origin is by the two fleshy slips from back of xiphoid process. Costal origin is from the lower six ribs and their costal cartilages along with interdigiting with the transverse abdominis muscle. So sternal origin is by the two fleshy slips from the back of xiphoid process. Costal origin is from the inner surface of lower six ribs and their costal cartilages, right? And the vertebral region we have on either side, it arises from the three sources. Vertebral region, we have three origins. Sternal, costal we finished. Now come to the third origin, which is vertebral. So from vertebral it has three sources. First is from the crura, right and left crura. Second from the median arcuate ligament. So I have drawn here. So this one is the median arcuate ligament. This is the lateral arcuate. Medial arcuate ligament. This is lateral arcuate ligament. This is medial arcuate ligament. This is lateral arcuate ligament. This is the median arcuate ligament. I have written here. This one is median arcuate ligament. This is medial arcuate ligament. This is lateral arcuate ligament. These two are the crus of diaphragm, right and left crus of diaphragm, right? These are the cupullae or dome of diaphragm. This is the crus of diaphragm. These two, right crus and left crus, these are the domes of diaphragm, right? Now vertebral region. From a pair of crura, right crus is actually longer than the left crus and more muscular because of presence of liver, right? Liver is a heavy organ, so towards the right side it should be more muscular, right crus, right? So right crus is longer and more muscular than the left crus and arises from the bodies of first three lumbar vertebra, right? And so close to the esophageal opening, right? This is a esophageal. Close to the esophageal opening, the right crus gives attachment to the suspensory ligament muscle of the duodenum, which is attached below the duodenojejunal flexure. I have drawn here, right? The right crus or right crura. I have drawn this duodenal ligament or suspensory muscle of duodenum. So close to the esophageal opening, the right crus gives attachment to the suspensory muscle of the duodenum, which is attached below to the duodenojejunal flexure, right? Right crus we finished. Now left crus. Left crus arises from the bodies same. It arises from the bodies 1, 2, 3. It arises from the bodies and discs of upper two lumbar vertebra. 1, 2, 3 and only two vertebrae. Left crus arises from the discs and bodies of upper two lumbar vertebra. Both are connected across a midline by the median arcuate ligament. This one is a medial arcuate. This one is a medial arcuate. This one is a lateral arcuate. This one is a lateral arcuate. These are the right lateral, left lateral arcuate, right medial arcuate, left medial arcuate, and this one is a median arcuate, right? So the both of the crusts, they are connected in the midline by the right median arcuate ligament. So the left crus is connected to the bare area on the posterior surface of the cardiac end of the stomach by gastrophrenic ligament, right? one region is finished from the right and left crura. Now another is from the pair of medial arcuate ligament. So this is medial, this is lateral. Medial arcuate ligament, also known as medial lumbocostal arch. So medial arcuate ligament is or medial lumbocostal arch. Each ligament bridges the front of psoas major muscle and is formed by thickening of psoas fascia, right? So the medial, this one is the medial left one, this one is the right. So the medial arcuate ligament, it bridges the front of psoas major muscle, right? And it is formed by the psoas major fascia, psoas fascia, right? So it is attached medially to the body of first or second lumbar vertebra and laterally to the transverse process of the first lumbar vertebra, right? This is from origin from the medial on both the sides. Now from origin from the lateral arcuate ligament. Each ligament arches in front of the quadratus lumborum muscle and is formed by thickening of anterior layer of thoracolumbar fascia. So it is attached medially to the tip of transverse process and of the first lumbar vertebra and laterally to the lower border of 12th rib, right? So vertebral region is finished. Vertebral region is by three parts. First is from the cruras, right and left cruras. Second is from the medial arcuate ligaments. Third is from the lateral arcuate ligament. Right crus is longer and muscular than the left, and it arises from the front of bodies and the intervertebral disc of upper three lumbar vertebrae, right? So close to the esophageal opening, they give attachment to the suspensory muscle of the duodenum, right? Left crus arises from the first two lumbar vertebrae, discs and bodies from the first two lumbar vertebrae, and both the cruras, they are joined in the midline by the median arcuate ligament, right? Now from medial arcuate ligament or medial lumbocostal arch, each ligament, what is this ligament actually? It bridges across the front of psoas major muscle. So it is formed by nothing but by thickening of psoas fascia, right? So it is attached medially to the upper body of the first or second lumbar vertebra and laterally to the tip of transverse process. From the body to tip of transverse process, right? Then lateral lumbar fascia, lateral arcuate ligament or lateral lumbocostal arch, they arches in front of the quadratus lumborum muscle and it is formed by thickening of anterior layer of thoracolumbar fascia. It is attached medially to the tip of transverse process of first lumbar vertebra to the lower border of the 12th rib. Median one attached medially to the body of the first lumbar vertebra to the tip of transverse process and lateral from the tip of transverse to the lower border of 12th rib, right? Now insertion. So all the fibers are inserted into the central tendon, which I have drawn in green color. This is central tendon. So all the muscle fibers, they are inserted into the central tendon, which is situated in the median depressed part of the diaphragm, right, close to the sternum. So this central tendon is like a trefoil leaf having median, right and left leaflets, right? At the junction of the median and the right leaflets, it presents a vena cava opening, right? This is the right leaflet. At the junction of the median and the right leaflet, we have a vena cava opening, right? And to the left of this opening, we have these fibers, decussation of the diagonal bands, right? Now openings in the diaphragm. The openings of the diaphragm, they are summarized as major and minor openings. The major openings are VOA, Voice of America. I have written VOA, Voice of America. Major openings: vena cava, esophageal, aortic. 8, 10, 12. At thoracic level 8 is vena cava opening. At thoracic level 10 is esophageal opening. At thoracic level 12 is aortic opening. VOA. So I have drawn, this is vena cava opening, this is esophageal opening, and this is aortic opening. These are the major openings. So let's start with the vena cava opening. So as I already discussed, it is situated in the central tendon. Vena cava opening is situated in the central tendon at the junction of the median and the right leaflets, right, opposite the vertebra 8th, right, thoracic. So its shape is quadrilateral. Other structures passing through this vena cava openings are first one is inferior vena cava. I have drawn one nerve. This is the vena cava. Then I have drawn right phrenic nerve. There is written right phrenic nerve. So other structures are right phrenic nerve and few lymphatics from the liver, right? So other structures passing through this vena caval opening are vena cava, right phrenic nerve, and some lymphatics, right? So what is the effect of contraction on the diaphragm? So when the diaphragm contracts in inspiration, the vena caval opening dilates, and so the blood enters the right atrium, right? So this is important, effect of contraction on all these openings. Esophageal openings dilates, vena caval opening dilates during the contraction of diaphragm. Esophageal opening contracts during the diaphragm, and there is no effect on aortic opening during contraction of diaphragm. Let's discuss these openings and their contraction. This one we already finished. Now esophageal opening. So it lies in the muscular part, this lies in the tendinous part, this lies in the muscular part, right? At the level of 10th thoracic vertebra, 8, 10, 12, right? So it is elliptical in shape and formed by the splitting of fibers of right crus, right? Now, structures passing this esophageal opening are esophagus, anterior and posterior vagal trunks. I have drawn right vagus and left vagus, right? Anterior trunks of right and left vagus. Then we have esophageal branches of the right and left gastric artery. I have drawn here esophageal branches of left gastric artery. Here I have drawn esophageal branches of the right gastric artery, right? So the structures passing through esophageal opening are esophagus, right and left vagus. Then we have esophageal branches of left and right, left gastric artery and the corresponding veins and lymphatics from the liver, right? Now effect of contraction is already discussed. When it contracts, here there is a ligament. When the diaphragm contracts, what happens to this opening is it will shrink, or during inspiration the opening will get constricted, right? So hence during inspiration and deglutition cannot take place simultaneously. This is the purpose for the constriction during the diaphragm, contraction of diaphragm, right? So that inspiration and deglutition cannot take place simultaneously, right? Now come to the aortic opening. It is situated behind the diaphragm, right? It is also osteoaponeurotic at the level of 12th, 8th, 10th, 12th thoracic vertebra, right? It is slightly towards the left side. It is rounded. So in front we have median arcuate ligament, behind we have body of thoracic vertebra 12, on each side we have right and left crus, right? Structure passing through this opening are the aorta, we have thoracic duct, we have azygous vein, right? Azygous vein, which means lumbar azygos arises from here, right? Now effect of contraction is no change because it lies outside the musculature as well as tendinous structure of the diaphragm. So whenever the diaphragm contracts, there is no effect on the aortic opening, right? The other minor openings, these are the major openings, 3: vena cava, esophageal and aortic. We finished. Now the minor openings. First, a triangular gap known as space of Larry. I have written here perhaps. This is space of Larry, right? This one. It is also called Morgagni. Space of Larry, L-A-R-E-Y, L-A-R-E-Y, Larry, or foramen of Morgagni, right? So what is this? This is a triangular gap between the sternal origin and costal origin of the 7th costal cartilage, right? So it transmits superior epigastric vessels. Actually, the space of Larry is normal, right? So when the opening enlarged, it is known as foramen of Morgagni, right? So then we have between the digitations of costal origin of diaphragm and transverse subdermis. What passes through them is lower 5th intercostal nerves and vessels. Then between the costal region of diaphragm from 7th and 8th cartilages, that is the structure passes musculophrenic vessels. So behind the lateral arcuate ligament we have this I have drawn lateral arcuate ligament. So lateral arcuate ligament, subcostal nerves and vessels, right? Behind the median arcuate ligament we have sympathetic trunk and splanchnic nerve. Sometimes I have drawn here splanchnic nerves also. Here we have splanchnic nerves, right? So each crus greater and lesser splanchnic nerves, right? Lesser and greater splanchnic nerves in each crus. Behind the lateral arcuate ligament we have costal nerves and vessel. Behind the median arcuate ligament we have splanchnic nerve and least we have sympathetic trunk and least splanchnic nerves. Right crus we have, I have drawn these two. These are the lesser and greater splanchnic nerves, right? Then left phrenic nerve pierces the left cupula, right? Now nerve supply. So motor nerve supply of diaphragm is by phrenic nerve, C3, C4, C5, right? And sensory, central part is by the phrenic nerves, peripheral by the lower 6 or 7 intercostal nerves, right? Sympathetic supply from celiac plexus by inferior phrenic plexus, right? Sympathetic supply, it probably maintains the tone of the diaphragm by lessening the fatigue of the muscle, which is called Orbelli phenomena. I have written here Orbelli phenomena. Orbelli phenomena. What is Orbelli phenomena? It is nothing but the sympathetic supply, it maintains the tone of the diaphragm by lessening the fatigue of the muscle, and this is called Orbelli phenomena. So blood supply is by musculophrenic and pericardiophrenic arteries, which are the branches of internal thoracic arteries, lower 5 to 6 posterior intercostal arteries, then superior phrenic artery, then inferior phrenic arteries, right? Now, effect of posture or movement of diaphragm. So when the diaphragm is relaxed, its height in thorax increases. So in such relaxed state, the contraction of diaphragm helps increase of thoracic volume. Therefore, higher the thoracic height, the better the diaphragmatic movement. So diaphragm acts as the best muscle of inspiration in recombinant position, where the foot end of the bed is raised, and least in the sitting position, where the abdominal wall is relaxed, right? Now we have development of the diaphragm. Anterior median part, including the central tendon, vena cava and esophageal opening, they derive from the septum transversum, as we already discussed in the pericardium, right? The central tendon of diaphragm along with the pericardium, they develop from the septum transversum, right? Then posterior part between esophagus and aorta arises from the dorsal mesentery. Anterior part up, including central tendon, esophagus, they arise from the septum transversum. Posterior part between esophagus and aorta, they arises from the dorsal mesentery, and the peripheral part, it arises from the shelf-like projection from the body wall, right? So on each side of the dorsal mesentery and behind the septum transversum, a triangular gap exists, which is called pleuroperitoneal opening. This opening is closed by the pleuroperitoneal membrane, right? Now, why I discuss their pleuroperitoneal membrane or opening? Because applied anatomy related to this diaphragmatic hernia occurs through this pleuroperitoneal gap if the membrane is not present. Let's discuss this applied anatomy in the last part of the chapter, which is diaphragmatic hernias, right? So sometimes I have discussed the foramen of Mergagni. What was that? Foramen of Mergagni, space of Larry, right? Which was due to failure of sternal region of diaphragm. So through this foramen of Mergagni, the abdominal organs may herniate, right? So next is costovertebral. Next is costovertebral or Bagdolic. I have written the Bogdalec's triangle or costovertebral triangle. Bogdalec's hernia. These are the hernia, Mergagni's hernia, when the abdominal contents protrude through the foramen of Mergagni. That is called hernia Mergagni, right? Costovertebral or Bogdalec's triangle, and the hernia is called Bogdalec hernia. What is sometimes the diaphragms fail to arise from the lateral arcuate ligament, right, of both sides, forming a triangular gap which is called costovertebral gap, right? Bogdalec. A congenital diaphragm hernia takes place through this opening, and the abdominal viscera, they herniate into the thorax, right? And it is usually observed on the left side, Bogdalec hernia, right? Now last is the hiatal hernia. So hiatal hernia through the dilated esophageal hiatus. These occur through the dilated esophageal hiatus. It is of two types, sliding and rolling. Sliding hernia is common more common and takes place when gastroesophageal junction slides into the thorax. So this is the esophagus, below it lies the stomach. Then the esophagus ends with this, there is the origin of stomach. Esophagus itself continues as the stomach, right? Cardiac and then fundus, right? When the cardioesophageal junction slides into the thorax, यहाँ से aortic opening से excuse me, through the aortic opening, the gastroesophageal junction slides into the thorax through this hiatus, particularly in the lying position. So this is actually associated with the regurgitation of the acid from stomach to esophagus and is expressed as heartburn, right? These are the sliding hernias. Now next is the rolling hernia. What happens in rolling hernia is the gastroesophageal junction remains same in normal position, and the herniated sac contains usually the fundus of stomach. So cardioesophageal junction is okay, fine, but the fundus, it protrudes through this opening. Fundus come outwards, right? Projects through into the thorax by the side of esophagus, right? And this is paraesophageal. So the person may complain of pain, nausea and dysphagia. Normally the rolling hernia, they are congenital. Sorry, the congenital hernia, they are rolling, and the sliding, they are the acquired hernias, right? So see, this is all about today's lecture of this thoracoabdominal diaphragm and diaphragmatic hernia. Thanks.